Watch and burn.
Hey, so tonight I want to discuss my favorite Rob Zombie film, and that is The Lords of Salem. And it's funny too, because I've always considered this to be sort of Rob Zombie's Eyes Wide Shut. And it works. It's not, of course, it's never going to be a Stanley Kubrick film. It's not going to be able to compete with Eyes Wide Shut. But at the same time, it fits. There's just something so big about this movie. And it's almost like, I mean, despite the fact that throughout the course of this film, I constantly see ceilings, this movie just seems so open. And it always has like a very, almost like a cathedral sense of filming. Because, like I said, despite the fact that you do technically see a lot of ceilings, it sort of feels like the scenes in this movie are sort of like heightless. Like it's like everything is bigger than it actually is. Everything's a little more open, perhaps. Like I look at her apartment, like Heidi LaRocque's apartment building and her apartment, they both seem suspiciously spacious. Now that is a gorgeous building that she lives in, but nonetheless, everything seems taller and wider, like it has that, again, that cathedral sense. But yeah, that's right, I completely forgot to say what this movie is about. This movie tells the story of Heidi LaRocque, played by Sheri Moon, Zombie's wife, and she is a popular radio DJ with her two co-hosts, and she is a recovering drug addict who's learning French. And she's also related back to, I believe his name was, I can't remember his first name. His last name was Hawthorne, of course, because her name's Heidi Hawthorne. And he was responsible for wiping out a coven of witches that was in the town where she's from, in Salem, near Salem. Wait, they're in Salem. They have to be in Salem, hence the title of the movie. Holy fuck, check out the size of my intellect. Anyways, yeah, so her great whoever wiped out the coven of witches, except in doing so, once Heidi and a bunch of other women who are related to everybody from way back then are subjected to this song that shows up at Heidi's radio station from somebody who was referred to as the Lords, it triggers this massive change in all of these women, and it really gets the movie going. And I think my favorite thing about this movie altogether is this does feel like Zombie's sort of finest hour filmmaking-wise. Everything about this movie just came together to create something more, at least as far as I was concerned. I felt like, I mean, I liked Halloween. I fucking couldn't stand Halloween 2. I don't know why he bothered to make Halloween 2. It's just like a 2-hour music video, basically. It's amazing looking. Like Halloween 2 is shot really well, and I love the color palette. And like I said, I love that sort of like MTV vibe that it has. But that movie's like abysmal. And I really liked 31, but I feel like, oh God, and the Munsters. The less that's said about the Munsters, probably the better. But this movie, it just feels like everything came together so completely for Zombie story. Yeah, it's like everything just came together and sort of created this sort of perfect filmmaking storm. Because this movie is entertaining, it's wild, it's colorful, it's got a handful of decent jump scares, and I just love how it's like a nod to horror past too, with the priests or whatever they were, those like masturbating robot priest things when she's having her like breakdown near the end. They are so reminiscent of Lucio Fulci's zombies that he would use in things like City of the Living Dead and The Beyond, and of course Zombie. So I thought that was a cool nod to sort of horror's past. I mean, I don't even know if that was really intentional, but those priest things, they had a Fulci look. Like, there's no way that would be lost on Zombie. Zombie would definitely know this, and I always like to think that he did it on purpose, because I thought that really added a lot to this movie. I love that Dee Wallace is in this. I love Heidi's apartment building. There is something so evil and foreboding about that place, despite how pretty it might be on the surface and how cool her apartment is as far as like aesthetically speaking, like how it's set up with the man on the moon thing from whatchamacallit, the old silent film, and how like her apartment's very stylized and everything's very hip, and so of course she's on the radio and she's a fucking cool DJ and she has a really good life. So naturally it's going to be torn apart. But I do have to say, I think my favorite thing about this movie, aside from the story that I completely bought into, would have to be the art direction. I mean, this movie reminds me of Fall, but it's sort of like a satanic Fall. And I love how out of hand the church sequence gets when Heidi goes in there and sort of falls asleep and has the dream that she's sexually assaulted by the priest. And I just love the chaos. Like, that seems to be the most prevalent thing in this movie, is sort of these little mini freakouts that just sort of show up out of nowhere. And it's like I said, the priest sexually assaulting Heidi in the church, it just came out of nowhere. And it was really loud, and it was aggressive, and it was vivid, and it was all kind of like thrown at you. Like, it's like you're being brainwashed or some shit. And that I loved too. Like, I loved that sense of frenzy that this movie has. And now, as far as the things I didn't love how some of the effects looked sort of photoshopped. I didn't love that. I didn't love the font used either for the title cards, like where it says the Lords of Salem. I didn't love that font choice. I did like how it had the goat's head there. I thought that was a nice touch, but I just felt like the font feels a little uninspired. So I didn't love the font choice for the opening credits. I didn't love that Photoshop vibe I got from the more graphical aspects of the movie. Like the ad, for example, for Heidi, Herman, the three of them, Heidi and her boyfriend Herman, and Ken Foree. It looks good, but it looks kind of homemade too. So, oh fuck, this has been 7 minutes. So look, I'll just stop. I love this movie. I love Rob Zombie as a filmmaker, kind of. But I do absolutely love this film, and I absolutely love 31. So look, I'll stop there. So thank you for hanging out with me for way too long while I said pretty much nothing about Rob Zombie's absolutely fucking killer, The Lords of Salem. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But please, most importantly, don't forget that the world is actually a better place because you are in it. And just keep trying, because I swear to God, it gets better. Have a good night.